Harmony Gilbert never imagined that writing about a mysterious businessman as fiction in a ghost-written biography could turn her life completely upside down. But that was exactly what happened when she accidentally discovered the darkest secrets of the Hogan Lux jewelry empire while working on the manuscript for a vapid socialite. What began as a simple fictional insertion to spice up the tedious book transformed into a ticking time bomb about to explode in the face of the most powerful and enigmatic man in Oakland, California. "Shakespeare, you need to stop looking at me with that judgmental expression," Harmony murmured to her black cat, who watched her with those penetrating amber eyes as she typed frantically on her laptop. "It is not as if I plan to discover that this Nolan Hogan fellow is being blackmailed by a corrupt politician." The morning was particularly warm in Oakland, and Harmony felt sweat trickling down her forehead as she tried to finish the most complicated chapter of Constance Whitmore's biography, a woman who definitely did not have enough content to fill even a pamphlet, let alone an entire book. But Harmony was a professional ghostwriter, therefore her mission was to work miracles with practically nothing. "Aunt Dorothy, have you seen the documents that Constance gave me?" Harmony called from the terrace, where she had set up her improvised office among the plants her aunt cultivated with such care. "Darling, if you are talking about those papers she kept in her purse as if they were state secrets, yes, I saw them. And I can tell you that woman does not even know how to organize her own lies," Dorothy replied, appearing at the door with a cup of coffee and that ironic smile Harmony had inherited genetically. Harmony sighed and returned her attention to the computer screen. The problem was that among Constance's personal documents, there was something that definitely should not have been there. Contracts, emails, and even audio recordings mentioning political blackmail involving the Hogan Lux Company and its mysterious owner. At first, Harmony thought they were just high society gossip, but the more she investigated, the more she realized it was too real to ignore. "Well, if I'm going to write fiction anyway," she said to herself, "at least it will be interesting fiction." And that was how Harmony decided to insert part of those discoveries into the manuscript, disguised as fictional elements to breathe life into Constance's monotonous story. She created a character based on this Nolan Hogan, a powerful, mysterious, and apparently upright jeweler who was being manipulated by shadowy political forces. What Harmony did not know was that she was about to meet the real man. 3 weeks later, while finishing reviewing the manuscript, Harmony received a phone call from Lucy, her best friend since childhood, and the only person capable of pulling her out of her literary comfort zone. "Harmony, you need to get out of that writer's den and come with me on a horseback ride at the most luxurious ranch in the region," said Lucy, with that animated tone that always preceded her impulsive adventures. "Lucy, you know I am not exactly the type of person who frequents luxury ranches," Harmony replied, stroking Shakespeare, who had jumped into her lap. "Besides, I have to deliver this manuscript by Friday. That is exactly why you need to get out. You are becoming more antisocial than Shakespeare, and that is saying something," Lucy laughed. "Come on, it will be fun. The ranch veterinarian is a cutie, and I need moral support so I do not do something stupid." Harmony looked at the computer screen, where the cursor blinked insistently on the last line of the manuscript. The book was practically finished, and she really needed a break. Moreover, curiosity about the ranches in the region had been growing since she began writing about that world of luxury and power. "All right, but only if you promise you will not abandon me to flirt with the veterinarian," said Harmony, already regretting the decision. "I promise you will love it. The ranch belongs to the owner of Hogan Lux, that famous jewelry company. They say he is a reserved type, but super interesting." Harmony almost dropped the phone. Hogan Lux? The same name she had found in Constance's documents. The coincidence was too great to ignore. Suddenly that horseback ride had become much more interesting than she had imagined. "Lucy, did you say Hogan Lux?" asked Harmony, trying to keep her voice casual. "Yes, why? Do you know it?" "No, I do not know it. I just heard about it," Harmony lied. What time are you picking me up? While hanging up the phone, Harmony felt a chill in her stomach. It could not be a coincidence. The universe was definitely conspiring to put her face to face with the man about whom she had written fiction based on very real secrets. And the worst part was that she had no idea how he would react if he discovered that his private life had been transformed into literary entertainment. "Shakespeare, I have the feeling I'm about to get myself into very big trouble," Harmony murmured, observing the cat, who stared at her with that expression that seemed to say, "I warned you." What Harmony did not know was that on that same morning, Nolan Hogan had awakened with the feeling that something was about to change in his carefully controlled life, and that this change would come in the form of an intelligent, sarcastic, and dangerously observant woman who carried secrets capable of destroying everything he had built. The morning sun bathed Hogan Ranch with golden light that made the precious stones embedded in the entrance gates sparkle like earthbound stars. Harmony held tightly to Lucy's hand as the car approached the property, feeling her stomach churn with nervousness. The ranch was even more impressive than she had imagined, a perfect blend of modern luxury and rustic charm, with purebred horses grazing in green fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. "Breathe, Harmony. You look pale," said Lucy, watching her friend with concern. "It is just a horseback ride, not an interrogation." "Easy for you to say," Harmony murmured, nervously adjusting her hair. "You are not about to meet someone you wrote about without authorization." "What are you talking about?" asked Lucy, frowning. "Nothing, forget it." Harmony sighed, deciding it was better not to explain the complicated situation she had gotten herself into. "I am just nervous about horses." The car stopped in front of the main house, an elegant construction that combined natural stone with modern details. Harmony took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves, when the door opened and a tall man with dark hair and penetrating eyes appeared on the porch. Even from a distance she could feel his magnetic presence, that aura of controlled power she had tried to capture in her words. "That is Nolan," Lucy whispered, waving enthusiastically. "Handsome, is he not?" Harmony swallowed hard. Handsome was an understatement. Nolan Hogan was exactly as she had imagined when writing about him. Tall, elegant, with that mysterious air that made women melt and men feel intimidated. But there was something more in his eyes, a subtle sadness she had not managed to capture completely in her words. "Welcome to the ranch," said Nolan, descending the steps with the natural elegance of someone born into wealth, but who learned to value life's simple things. "Lucy, good to see you again. And you must be Harmony." When he took Harmony's hand to greet her, she felt an electric current shoot up her arm. His eyes were even more intense up close, and she had the impression he could see through her carefully constructed defenses. "Pleasure to meet you," she managed to say, hoping her voice would not betray her nervousness. "The pleasure is mine," Nolan replied, and for a moment Harmony had the sensation he was analyzing every detail of her face, as if trying to solve a mystery. "Lucy told me you are a writer. What kind of books do you write?" The question caught Harmony off guard. How could she explain that she wrote ghost biographies without revealing she had discovered secrets about his life? "Stories about interesting people," she replied, trying to be vague. "I like to discover what makes people who they are." "Interesting," Nolan murmured, and Harmony had the impression he was evaluating every word. "Do you always manage to discover those secrets?" "Not always," Harmony smiled, trying to maintain a casual tone. "Sometimes people are more complex than they appear." "Or simpler," Nolan replied, with a half-smile that made Harmony's heart race. "Shall we meet the horses?" The group headed toward the stables, where Harmony was introduced to Ruby, Nolan's favorite horse, a magnificent animal with reddish coat that gleamed under the sun. The horse was exactly as she had imagined when writing about him, beautiful, docile, but with a stubborn gleam in his eyes. "Ruby is a bit like me," said Nolan, stroking the animal's neck. "He appears calm, but has his own ideas about how things should be done." "And has that caused problems?" asked Harmony, genuinely curious. More than I would like to admit, Nolan laughed, and for the first time, Harmony saw his expression completely relax. He has thrown me 3 times just this month, but I keep trying. Perseverance is an admirable quality, said Harmony, observing how Nolan interacted with the horse. There was genuine tenderness there, a connection that transcended the simple relationship between owner and animal. Or stubbornness, Nolan replied, looking directly at her. Sometimes it is difficult to know the difference. Harmony felt her face heat up. There was something in the way he looked at her that made it seem they were having 2 conversations at the same time, one about horses and another about something much deeper and more dangerous. "Marcus!" Lucy shouted, interrupting the tense moment. "Are you riding with us today?" The ranch veterinarian appeared running, wearing a white coat stained with mud and an embarrassed smile on his face. He was exactly as Lucy had described, cute, clumsy, and obviously in love with her. "Of course. I mean, if you want company." "I do not want to intrude," Marcus stammered, stumbling slightly over his own feet. "You never intrude," said Lucy, with a smile that made Marcus blush to his ears. Harmony watched the interaction between the two with affection. It was obvious Lucy was interested in Marcus, but she was trying to be subtle. The problem was that Marcus was so nervous he probably would not catch the signals, even if she wrote them on a sign. "Let us start with a calm ride," Nolan suggested, preparing the horses. "Harmony, have you ridden before?" "It has been a while," Harmony admitted, observing her mount, a gentle mare named Star, "but I think I have not forgotten completely." "It is like riding a bicycle," said Nolan, approaching to help her mount. "The body remembers." When he placed his hands on her waist to help her up into the saddle, Harmony felt that electric current again. Nolan seemed to feel it too, because their eyes met for a moment that lasted longer than necessary. "Thank you," Harmony murmured, trying to ignore the way her heart was racing. "Always at your service," Nolan replied, with that half-smile that was becoming his trademark in their interactions. The group began the ride through the ranch fields, with Lucy and Marcus in front, chatting animatedly about equine nutrition, and Harmony and Nolan a bit behind, maintaining an apparently casual conversation loaded with subtexts. "Your ranch is beautiful," Harmony commented, observing the stunning landscape around them. "It must be a perfect refuge to escape business pressures." "Do you know anything about my business?" asked Nolan, and Harmony noticed there was subtle tension in his voice. "Only what everyone knows," she replied quickly. "Jewelry, luxury, success. The basics." "The basics," Nolan repeated thoughtfully. "Interesting how people think they know someone based on the basics." Harmony felt a chill in her stomach. There was something in the way he said that which made her think he knew more than he was letting on. "And you?" asked Nolan, changing the subject. "How does a writer end up specializing in biographies?" "Curiosity," Harmony replied, being honest for the first time. "I love discovering what makes people who they are, what their motivations are, their fears, their dreams, and what do you do when you discover something you should not know?" The question was asked in a casual tone, but Harmony felt as if it were a trap. Nolan was watching her intensely, as if trying to read her thoughts. "It depends," said Harmony, trying to keep the tone light. "If it is something that could hurt someone, I keep it to myself. Even if that means giving up a good story." "Especially if it means giving up a good story," Harmony replied, and she realized she was being completely sincere. "Some things are more important than professional success." Nolan stopped his horse and looked at her with an expression Harmony could not decipher. "You are an interesting person, Harmony Gilbert," he said, and there was something in his voice that made her heart skip a beat. "Thank you," Harmony murmured, feeling her face heat up again. "I am not sure that was a compliment," said Nolan, with that provocative half-smile. "Interesting people tend to complicate other people's lives, and you do not like complications." "I detest them," Nolan replied, but his eyes said exactly the opposite. "My life is complicated enough already." Harmony was about to ask what he meant by that, when Lucy shouted from the top of a hill, "Come see the sunset from here. The view is incredible." The moment broke, and they followed toward their friends. But Harmony could not forget the way Nolan had said his life was complicated. There was a sadness in his eyes she recognized immediately. It was the same one she had tried to capture in her words when she wrote about him. While watching the sunset paint the sky in golden and orange tones, Harmony felt she was at the beginning of something that could change her life forever. But she also had the sensation she was walking in dangerous territory, where every word could be a trap and every glance could reveal more than she was willing to show. What she did not know was that at that exact moment, Nolan was thinking exactly the same thing. The following week passed like a colorful blur of text messages, phone calls that lasted hours, and a growing feeling that Harmony was getting into waters much deeper than she had imagined. Nolan had become a constant presence in her thoughts, and she did not know if that was wonderful or terrifying. "You have been smiling at your phone for 20 minutes, Dorothy observed, appearing on the terrace with 2 cups of coffee. "I presume it is the mysterious jeweler." "He's not mysterious," Harmony protested, quickly putting away her phone. "He is just reserved, darling. When a rich and handsome man is reserved, that usually means he has secrets," said Dorothy, sitting in the chair next to Harmony. "The question is whether they are interesting or dangerous secrets." Harmony swallowed hard. If Dorothy knew she already knew some of Nolan's secrets, she would probably lock her in the house until his interest passed. "He invited me to dinner tonight," said Harmony, trying to change the subject. "At a private restaurant." "Ah, so we have already reached the private restaurant phase?" Dorothy laughed. "This is serious indeed." "It is not serious," Harmony protested, but even she was not convinced. "We are just getting to know each other." "Of course, darling. And I am just a retired teacher who understands nothing about romance," said Dorothy, with that ironic smile that always preceded her sharpest advice. "Just promise me you will take it slow. Men like him are like fire, beautiful to look at, but they can burn if you get too close." Harmony nodded, but she knew it was too late to be cautious. She was falling in love with Nolan, and it was happening faster than she thought possible. That night, Harmony chose a simple but elegant dress, trying to find the perfect balance between casual and sophisticated. When she arrived at the restaurant, she found Nolan waiting for her at the most secluded table in the place, wearing a dark suit that highlighted his penetrating eyes. "You look beautiful," he said, standing up to pull out her chair. "Thank you," Harmony murmured, feeling herself blush. "The place is wonderful." "I thought you would like privacy," said Nolan, and Harmony noticed there was something different in his expression, a tension that had not been present during the horseback ride. "Privacy is always good," Harmony agreed, trying to decipher what was happening. "You seem worried about something." Nolan hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much he should reveal. "Harmony, I need to ask you something," he said finally. "And I need you to be completely honest with me." Harmony's heart raced. Had he discovered the manuscript, about the documents she found, about how she had turned his life into fiction? "Of course," she managed to say, trying to keep her voice steady. "Have you ever heard of Congressman Mitchell Thompson?" Harmony blinked, surprised. That was not the name she expected to hear. "Vaguely," she replied, being honest. "Why do you ask?" "He mentioned your name in a conversation we had recently," said Nolan, observing every reaction from Harmony. "He said you had written something about me." Harmony's blood ran cold. How did Thompson know about the manuscript? And more importantly, how had he managed to connect the text to her? "I do not understand," said Harmony, trying to buy time to think. "I never wrote anything about you." "Not directly," said Nolan, and Harmony realized he was being very careful with his words. "But apparently you inserted some interesting elements into recent work." Harmony felt the floor open beneath her feet. There was no denying it. Thompson knew about the manuscript, and if he knew, that meant he had somehow discovered she had access to information about the blackmail. "Nolan, I can explain," Harmony began, but he raised his hand to interrupt her. "First, let me finish," he said, and there was a coldness in his voice that had not been there before. "Thompson is using this information to blackmail me. He knows you discovered things about my company, about the pressures I face, about other things. How did he find out? Asked Harmony, feeling panic growing in her chest. Good question, said Nolan, and now there was clear distrust in his eyes. How did he find out, Harmony? How did a corrupt politician discover you had written about me? Harmony took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. The truth was complicated, but it was the only option she had. I was writing a biography for Constance Whitmore, Harmony began, speaking rapidly. She gave me personal documents to help me build her story. But among the documents, there were things that should not have been there. Contracts, recordings, emails mentioning you and the blackmail. Constance Whitmore? Nolan frowned. How did she get those documents? I have no idea, Harmony admitted. But when I saw the material, I thought it was just high society gossip. So I decided to use some elements as fiction in the biography to make it more interesting. Fiction, Nolan repeated, and there was bitterness in his voice that made Harmony shrink. I did not know you were real, said Harmony, desperate for him to understand. I mean, I knew the company existed, but I never imagined I would meet you. And when I met you, I did not know how to explain. Nolan remained silent for a long moment, processing the information. Harmony could see the gears turning in his mind, analyzing every detail of what she had just revealed. So you met me, knowing you had written about my private life, he said finally. And you did not think to tell me. I wanted to tell you, Harmony protested, but I did not know how, and the more time passed, the more difficult it became. More difficult, Nolan repeated, and Harmony realized he was struggling to control his anger. Harmony, do you have any idea what this means? Thompson has that manuscript. He can use it to destroy me. Not if it is just fiction, said Harmony, trying to grasp any hope. There is nothing in the text that proves it is about you. There are enough details for any intelligent person to connect the dots, said Nolan, standing up from the table. And Thompson is many things, but he is not stupid. Nolan, please, said Harmony, standing up too. Let me help. I know I messed everything up, but I can fix it. How? Asked Nolan, and there was pain in his eyes that broke Harmony's heart. How can you fix the fact that you turned my life into entertainment? It was not like that, said Harmony, feeling tears burn her eyes. I never wanted to hurt you. When I wrote that, you were just a name in documents. But now you are much more. Now I am what? Asked Nolan, and Harmony realized he was genuinely curious about the answer. Now you are someone I am falling in love with, said Harmony, the words coming out before she could stop them. And I know I have no right to feel this after what I did, but it is the truth. Nolan looked at her for a long moment, and Harmony saw a battle happening in his eyes, anger, disappointment, and something that could be hope. Harmony, he said finally, I need time to process all this. I need to understand how Thompson got the manuscript and what he intends to do with it. Let me help, Harmony repeated. I know the original documents. I can help you understand how he got access to them. No, said Nolan, grabbing his coat. You have done enough. I need to handle this alone. Nolan, please, Harmony touched his arm. Do not let this end like this. Not when we are just beginning. He looked at her hand on his arm, and Harmony saw his expression soften slightly. I do not know if we are beginning or ending, he said softly, but I know I need time to figure it out. Harmony nodded, feeling tears run freely down her face. She watched Nolan leave the restaurant, knowing she had lost something precious before even having the chance to discover what it could have been. When she got home, she found Shakespeare waiting for her on the porch, with something shiny hanging around his neck. Harmony picked up the cat and examined the object. It was a small, precious stone, cut with the perfection characteristic of Hogan Lux pieces. Where did you find this, Shakespeare? Harmony murmured, but the cat just looked at her with those amber eyes that seemed to hold secrets. While holding the stone against the light, Harmony had the feeling that the pieces of a much larger puzzle were just beginning to fit together, and that perhaps her story with Nolan was far from over. 3 days passed in deafening silence. Harmony tried to immerse herself in work, but could not concentrate on anything other than Nolan's hurt expression when he discovered the manuscript. She had tried calling, sending messages, but all were ignored. The small, precious stone Shakespeare had brought became a constant reminder that something bigger was happening, something she could not completely understand. "You need to eat something," said Dorothy, appearing on the terrace with a plate of sandwiches. "Mourning over a man never did anyone any good." "I am not mourning," Harmony protested, but even she did not believe it. "I am just processing. Processing the fact that you fell in love with someone you only knew professionally?" Harmony sighed. Dorothy always managed to get straight to the point. "I ruined everything, Aunt Dorothy." "Completely. Maybe," Dorothy agreed, sitting next to Harmony. "But maybe not. Men like Nolan Hogan do not stay angry for long with women who really matter to them." "How can you be sure?" "Because if you did not matter, he would not have gotten angry at all," said Dorothy, with that wisdom that came from decades of observing human relationships. "He would have simply ignored you." Harmony was about to respond when her phone rang. It was Lucy, and she sounded agitated. "Harmony, you need to see the news, now." "What happened?" "Just turn on the TV. Channel 7. Harmony ran into the house and turned on the television. What she saw made her gasp. On screen, a blonde presenter was holding what appeared to be a copy of the manuscript Harmony had written. Explosive document that reveals intimate details about businessman Nolan Hogan and possible irregularities in his company. The text, supposedly written by a local ghostwriter, contains information that could compromise not only the jeweler's reputation, but also reveal suspicious political connections. Harmony felt the floor collapse beneath her feet. How had the manuscript ended up in the media's hands, and why were they treating it as if it were a factual document instead of fiction? The phone rang again. It was an unknown number. "Harmony Gilbert." The voice was masculine, with an accent she could not identify. "Who is speaking?" "Let us say I am someone interested in your work. You should be more careful with the secrets you put on paper." The call was cut off, leaving Harmony with her heart racing. She tried calling Nolan, but the phone went straight to voicemail. "Nolan, I know you do not want to talk to me, but you need to know I did not leak the manuscript. Someone is using our problems for some bigger purpose. Please call me." 2 hours later, Harmony received a text message from a number she did not know. "Central Supermarket parking lot. 1 hour. Come alone." Harmony hesitated. It could be a trap, but it could also be her only chance to discover what was really happening. She decided to take the risk. The parking lot was almost empty when Harmony arrived. She looked for any sign of movement when a familiar figure emerged from behind a car. It was Olivia, the ranch housekeeper. "Miss Harmony, thank you for coming," said Olivia, looking nervously around. "Olivia, were you the one who called?" "Not directly, but I need to speak with you. It is about the boss and about things that happened long before you were born." Harmony frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Get in the car," said Olivia, opening the passenger door of a dark sedan. "What I have to say cannot be heard by curious ears." Harmony hesitated, but something in the urgency of Olivia's voice convinced her to get in the car. "Miss Harmony, the manuscript you wrote, it was not fiction, was it?" "Not completely," Harmony admitted. "But how do you know about it?" "Because I saw the original documents a long time ago, and because I know who is really behind all this." Olivia took a deep breath before continuing. "Congressman Thompson did not get those documents by chance. He has had them forever, because he was the one who orchestrated the death of the boss's parents." Harmony felt her blood freeze. "What are you saying?" 20 years ago, when Nolan was only 16, his parents discovered a money laundering scheme involving local politicians and the precious stone market. Mitchell Thompson was the mastermind of the operation. "But I thought Nolan's parents died in an accident." "That is what everyone thought. But I always knew the truth, just like the boss's grandfather. That is why he became so protective, why the ranch has so much security." Harmony processed the information, feeling all the puzzle pieces beginning to fit together. "And my father?" asked Harmony, a terrible suspicion growing in her mind. Franklin Gilbert. He disappeared around the same time. Olivia nodded sadly. Your father was a private investigator. He was helping the boss's parents gather evidence against Thompson. When they died, he knew he would be next. That is why he disappeared, Harmony murmured, feeling tears burn her eyes. He did not abandon us. He was protecting himself. And protecting you, Olivia confirmed. Thompson is dangerous, Miss Harmony. He does not hesitate to eliminate those who threaten his interests. But why are you telling me this now? Because the boss decided to face Thompson. He is going public to denounce everything. But he needs solid evidence, and your manuscript, even being fiction, contains details that only someone with access to the original documents could know. Harmony understood immediately. You want me to help prove that Thompson has those documents? More than that, said Olivia, taking a small flash drive from her pocket. The boss's grandfather kept this all these years. Recordings, documents, enough evidence to put Thompson in jail for the rest of his life. Harmony took the flash drive with trembling hands. Why did they not use this before? Because we had no way to prove the documents were authentic without putting ourselves at risk. But now, with the leaked manuscript and the media already talking about the case, we can use the media attention to our advantage. Does Nolan know you are here? Olivia smiled for the first time. Who do you think asked me to find you? He is furious with you, that is true, but he is also in love, and men in love do stupid things, like trusting vengeful ex-girlfriends. Jade, said Harmony, immediately understanding. Exactly. She was the one who leaked the manuscript. She has media contacts and access to documents through Gary Thompson, with whom she is secretly involved. Harmony felt anger boil in her chest. So all this was orchestrated to destroy Nolan? And to silence you. They know you have dangerous information, even if you did not know it at the time. Harmony looked at the flash drive in her hands. What do I need to do? Tomorrow night, there is a charity event at the social club. Thompson will be there, as well as all the local elite. The boss will use the occasion to make the public announcement, but we need you to be there, with the evidence. Will he want to see me? Olivia smiled again. Miss Harmony, this man has been suffering for 3 days because he cannot decide if he is angrier or more in love. Of course he wants to see you. Harmony felt hope grow in her chest for the first time in days. Then let us end this once and for all. Yes, Olivia agreed. But prepare yourself, because tomorrow night is going to be a war, and in wars not everyone comes out unscathed. While driving back home, Harmony held the flash drive like a weapon. Finally, she had the chance to fix the damage she had caused. But more than that, she had the chance to help Nolan free himself from the chains that had bound him for so long. What she did not know was that at that exact moment, Jade Winters was in a secret meeting with Mitchell Thompson, planning the final blow that should destroy both Nolan and Harmony once and for all. The war was just beginning. The night of the charity event arrived loaded with electric tension that seemed to contaminate all of Oakland. Harmony had spent the entire day mentally rehearsing what she would say, how she would act, trying to prepare for a confrontation that could change everything. The dress she chose was simple but elegant. She did not want to draw unnecessary attention, but she also could not appear intimidated. "Are you sure you want to do this?" asked Dorothy, helping Harmony close the necklace that had belonged to her mother. "Confronting corrupt politicians is not exactly what I imagined when I told you to be more adventurous." "I need to do this, Aunt Dorothy," said Harmony, looking at herself in the mirror. "Not just for me and Nolan, but for my father, for all the people who were silenced by fear." "Your mother would be proud," said Dorothy, squeezing Harmony's shoulders. "She always said you had her courage, but your father's strategic intelligence." Harmony smiled, feeling her parents' presence like a protective force. The flash drive was safe in her small purse, along with copies of all the original documents she had found in Constance's material. She was prepared. The social club was transformed into a fairy tale setting, with golden lights, exotic flowers, and the soft sound of a string quartet. The local elite circulated in their finest attire, conversing in groups about business, politics, and gossip. Harmony looked for Nolan as soon as she entered, but did not see him immediately. "Harmony Gilbert?" A feminine voice made her turn. It was a tall, elegant woman with perfectly styled blonde hair and a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Jade Winters, I am sure you have heard of me." Harmony felt all her muscles tense. "Jade, what a surprise! I imagined so." Jade laughed, and there was coldness in her voice that made Harmony shiver, "especially considering you are responsible for all this confusion with the manuscript." "I did not leak the manuscript," said Harmony, keeping her voice firm. "Of course not," Jade agreed with a predatory smile, "but you wrote it, and now you need to deal with the consequences." "What consequences?" "Well, for starters, Nolan discovered you are not who you pretended to be. That you invaded his privacy, turned his life into entertainment, lied to him from the first moment." Every word was like a stab, but Harmony did not let the pain show on her face. "And you, Jade? Who are you pretending to be?" "Me? I'm exactly who I have always been. A woman who knows what she wants and does not hesitate to fight for it, even if that means allying with corrupt politicians." Jade's smile faltered for a second. "I do not know what you're talking about." "I am sure you do," said Harmony, carefully observing Jade's reaction. "Just as I know you were the one who leaked the manuscript." "Prove it," Jade challenged, but Harmony noticed nervousness in her eyes. "I do not need to prove it. You just gave yourself away." Jade was about to respond when a commotion in the main hall caught everyone's attention. Nolan had arrived and was walking directly toward the stage where the microphone used for the evening speeches was located. "Excuse me," said Harmony, leaving Jade standing there and following toward the stage. Nolan was impeccable in his tuxedo, but Harmony could see the tension in his shoulders, the determination in his gaze. When their eyes met, she saw a mixture of relief, anger, and something that could be hope. "Ladies and gentlemen," said Nolan, taking the microphone, "I apologize for interrupting the party, but I have something important to say." The hall fell silent. Harmony saw Mitchell Thompson in the back, with an expression that mixed surprise and concern. "My name is Nolan Hogan, and for years I have been a victim of political blackmail," Nolan began, his voice echoing through the silent hall. "Today, I decide to break that silence." A murmur ran through the crowd. Harmony saw Thompson moving, trying to get closer to the stage. 20 years ago, my parents discovered a corruption scheme involving money laundering through the precious stone market. They were murdered to protect that secret." The murmur turned into exclamations of shock. Harmony saw journalists pulling out phones and cameras. "And the man responsible for their deaths is in this hall tonight," Nolan continued, looking directly at Thompson. "Congressman Mitchell Thompson." Chaos erupted. Thompson shouted something about slander. Security moved. Journalists ran to get statements. But Nolan was not finished. "I have proof," said Nolan, raising his voice above the confusion. "Documents, recordings, evidence that show not only my parents' murder, but years of corruption, blackmail, and crimes that extend to this day." Harmony saw her cue. She climbed onto the stage, taking the flash drive from her purse. "And I have the complementary evidence," said Harmony, her voice trembling slightly but clear enough to be heard. "Documents that show how this scheme perpetuated itself, how innocence was silenced, how the truth was buried." Nolan looked at her with an expression that mixed surprise and gratitude. "Harmony, I should have told you from the beginning," said Harmony, extending the flash drive to him. "But now, let us tell everyone." Thompson tried to approach the stage, but was intercepted by police officers who, Harmony realized, must have been waiting for this moment. "You have no idea what you are doing," Thompson shouted while being escorted. "This will not end like this." "It already has," said a familiar voice. Harmony turned and saw her father, Franklin, entering the hall accompanied by more police officers. "Dad?" Harmony could barely pronounce the word. Franklin climbed onto the stage and embraced his daughter, tears running down both their faces. "Forgive me for all these years," he whispered, "but I had to wait for the right moment to return." and that moment has come. I understand, said Harmony, tightening the embrace. I understand everything now. Nolan watched the reunion with a genuine smile, the first Harmony had seen in days. So, he said when father and daughter separated, it seems we have a lot to talk about. Yes, Harmony agreed, looking directly into his eyes. And this time, no secrets. No secrets, Nolan repeated, extending his hand to her. Harmony took his hand, feeling the familiar electricity, but now accompanied by something deeper. Trust, understanding, the promise of a future built on truth. While events unfolded around them, arrests being made, journalists asking questions, guests trying to process what they had just witnessed, Harmony and Nolan remained on the stage, holding hands, knowing they had weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. Jade was seen leaving the club hastily, apparently trying to avoid questions about her involvement with Gary Thompson, who was also being taken into custody. So, said Nolan when they finally got a moment of privacy, where were we before all this confusion began? I think we were discovering that we are two people who complement each other perfectly, said Harmony, smiling. Even when everything goes wrong. Especially when everything goes wrong, Nolan corrected, pulling her closer. Because that is how we know it is worth fighting for. And as they kissed under the golden lights of the club, with the sound of police sirens and journalists' voices in the background, Harmony knew her life had changed forever. Not just because she had found love, but because she had found the courage to fight for the truth. Epilogue, 6 months later. The small bookstore jewelry shop that Harmony and Nolan opened in downtown Oakland was always bustling with activity. It was a unique concept, a space where people could find rare books alongside sustainable jewelry, where stories and precious stones coexisted harmoniously. The lady at table 3 wants to know if the emerald in the ring has a certificate of origin, said Lucy, appearing behind the counter where Harmony was organizing the week's new releases. All our stones do, Harmony replied, smiling. It is one of the advantages of having a partner who knows every supplier personally, Lucy laughed. Speaking of partners, where is your favorite jeweler? In the back, teaching Marcus how to cut a stone for the engagement ring he is finally going to give you, said Harmony, with a mischievous smile. Lucy blushed to her ears. He has not said anything about... He does not need to, Harmony interrupted. It has been written on his face for weeks, just like it has been on yours. And you? When is Nolan going to make things official? Harmony unconsciously touched the small ring she wore on her ring finger. Not a traditional engagement ring, but a unique piece Nolan had created especially for her, with a small stone that contained the colors of the sunset they had seen together on their first horseback ride. We are already official, said Harmony. We do not need papers to know we're going to be together forever. How romantic, said a familiar voice. Dorothy appeared carrying a tray with coffee and sandwiches. But also practical. I never thought I would see the day when my niece would find a man who understood that true love does not need formalities. Thank you for taking care of the food today, Aunt Dorothy, said Harmony, hugging Dorothy. It is the least I can do for the woman who gave me a place to use my culinary talents, Dorothy laughed. Besides, I love seeing you two together. You radiate happiness. It was true. In the past 6 months, Harmony had discovered herself happier than she ever imagined possible. The business was thriving. Her relationship with Nolan had deepened in ways she did not know were possible, and she had finally published her first novel, a love and mystery story inspired by her own experiences. How was the trial today? Asked Lucy. Thompson was sentenced to 20 years, said Harmony, feeling deep satisfaction. Gary also got 15, and Jade, well, she will have to rebuild her reputation elsewhere. Justice served, said Dorothy, nodding with approval. Nolan appeared from the back of the store with slightly disheveled hair and a smile that made Harmony's heart race, even after all these months together. Marcus is officially ready to propose, he announced, kissing Harmony softly, although I am sure he will stutter so much that Lucy will have to guess what he is trying to say. At least he will try, Lucy laughed. That is progress. "Speaking of progress," said Nolan, taking Harmony's hands, "I have a surprise for you." "What kind of surprise?" asked Harmony, intrigued. "The kind that involves horses, sunset, and a very important question," said Nolan, with that half-smile that always made Harmony melt. "Nolan Hogan," said Harmony, narrowing her eyes. "If you are thinking of doing what I think you are thinking—" "It depends," said Nolan, kneeling right there in the middle of the bookstore jewelry shop, in front of Dorothy, Lucy, and the customers who stopped to watch. "Do you think I am thinking of asking if Harmony Gilbert would like to become Harmony Hogan?" Harmony felt tears burn her eyes as Nolan took a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring that was a work of art, not ostentatious but perfect, with a stone that captured light in a way that seemed magical. "I thought we did not need formalities," said Harmony, trying to maintain a playful tone despite the tears. "We do not," Nolan agreed. "But I want to. I want the whole world to know you are my partner in everything, in business, in life, in dreams, in the adventures we are still going to live, and in the troubles we will certainly create," Harmony added, laughing through the tears. "Especially in the troubles," Nolan agreed. "So, what do you say? Do you want to create troubles with me for the rest of your life?" Harmony looked around the store they had built together, at Dorothy and Lucy, who were smiling through tears of their own, at the customers who were clearly rooting for a happy ending, and finally at the man kneeling in front of her, the man who had transformed her life into an adventure better than any fiction she could write. "Yes," she said simply. 1,000 times yes. When Nolan placed the ring on her finger and stood up to kiss her, the entire store erupted in applause. Harmony laughed against his lips, thinking about how life had an interesting way of turning the biggest mistakes into the best decisions. "I love you," Nolan whispered in her ear. "I love you too," Harmony replied, "even when you make dramatic proposals in the middle of our store." "Especially when I make dramatic proposals in the middle of our store," Nolan corrected. "After all, we are specialists in turning complicated moments into perfect memories." And as they kissed again, with Shakespeare watching from atop a bookshelf and the sound of congratulations filling the air, Harmony knew she had found more than love. She had found her place in the world, her person, her story forever. 6 months ago, she had written about a mysterious man without knowing she was writing about her future. Now she was living a love story that not even her writer's imagination could have created. And the best part? It was just the beginning.